Hello, welcome to another episode of Janina Podcast, the expanded edition. Once again, we have Corey, who's at the Aguilar Archive, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So follow him everywhere. He's a wealth of knowledge of Christina, but also has an amazing archive of her collections. Today, we're going to be talking about Burlesque because it is the 15th anniversary of its release.
To our little baby Burlesque. Yeah, I love this.
What was your impressions back in the day? And do you like the movie?
So, from my understandings, like the first impressions, it's like made for Christina Aguilera. You know what I mean? Like quite literally.
Yes.
Like I think Steve Anton like said that like he got inspired to like write the movie while seeing Christina Aguilera perform at the Pussycat Doll Lounge, like 2002-ish, and kind of wrote that character with Christina in mind. So I thought it was kind of like quintessentially like kind of perfect for what it was. Fun fact, I actually got to see Burlesque probably like 3 or 4 times before it actually was officially released. So like when they do those like pre-screens for like press and like advanced screenings, I actually somehow I don't remember how I did it, but I figured out like how to get signed up for those. So I actually went and seen it quite a bit, like, and I dragged everybody and their mother. I took my sister to one of them. I took one of my straight friends, Miguel. I took my husband to it. Like I was just dragging everyone to it. So yeah, my first impressions is I love the movie. Super biased, but I really liked the feel that I got from watching the film. It kind of evoked like one of those like early like these mid 90s romantic comedy kind of feels to it, which I think is kind of lost in today's light, and certainly by 2010 when that movie came out, that genre was kind of dying off. You know, romantic comedies are dead now. Like no one
Yes.
makes romantic comedies. But it was kind of like it's one of the last ones that came out. I think they did it really well. I will say I remember like loving it to death when it first came out, and then like going back and watching it like some years later, and I'm like, okay, this is campy as hell. It's like there's plot points missing in this. There are things that don't really make sense or don't kind of like add up to anything, or maybe could have been edited out. But I think for what it is, and if we're kind of like thinking in terms of like pop star movies, it's one of the better ones out there. One of the more watchable, certainly one of the ones that you can rewatch over again. Unlike I don't know, like some of the other ones that are out there. I always pick on Lady Gaga, and I promise I'm not a Lady Gaga hater. But like the movie Gucci, that's a one and done. I can watch that one time, and
Yes.
I never have to watch that movie. The same thing with that other one that she's like really popular, like A Star Is Born or something.
Oh, a lot of
It's
people
like
love
it's
that.
I know, but for
I
me, it's
agree.
like a one and done. It's not a feel good film. I think the guy commits suicide at the end. It's just like it's a one and done. You know what I mean? Like I can watch. It's like you watch it one time and then like you're good. Whereas Burlesque is like one of those like kind of campy feel good films that you can like turn on, and I go back and revisit it, and I love it. So I'm very proud of Christina for doing a movie like that, and I think she did it really well.
Yeah, I think my experience was the exact opposite when initially it was released, especially kind of like coming off of Bionic and Burlesque, she scooted right past Bionic. She's like, onward with the next project. And Burlesque came about. Everybody was really excited. I was excited for it. And she was once again working with Sia, with the ballads and
Hmm.
Tricky Stewart, who she worked out with on Bionic. And it was just like promising to be kind of like a Back to Basics 2.0. I still love the soundtrack. It's so great. But also she got to play with doing more Etta James songs, and
Hmm.
she loves that whole like era, that aesthetic. But watching the movie, I did not like it at all.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's so funny. Have you grown to love it?
I've grown to like it. I actually have a ton of notes because, like, I watched the movie. I watched it twice. I watched it as an actual movie, but also with the commentary separately to see because Stephen Anton, Steve or Stephen, Steve
Steven
Anton.
Anton.
Yeah, so he does the commentary just because he wrote and directed it, and it's kind of nice to see the insight. It would have been nice if you went a little bit more in depth. It felt like really like off the cuff that. So he was watching the movie and he was like trying to interject like little anecdotes or whatever production things. So we do have some notes from that. There's like so much like lore, I guess,
Yeah.
behind that. So I guess I'll start with a couple little bit of my notes. I immediately thought, especially because okay, Stephen Anton is a gay man. He's
Yes.
also Robin
All
Anton.
three of them are.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Or well, because it's his brother is Jonathan Anton.
I don't know that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he's a hairstylist, and he actually had a show on Bravo called, I think, Sheer Genius, where it was kind of like you like kind of followed like his like cast of characters and his salon. It was like one of those early reality shows that was kind of scripted, kind of not. But he's like also gay, and then Steven Anton, and then obviously Robin Anton. So yeah, it's like the threesome.
Is she a lesbian?
No, she's not. But I
Well,
mean, she
shame.
might as well be.
Yeah,
She's
she's at least a hag.
yeah, 100%.
Okay, so people don't know who Robin Antin is. She is the creator, choreographer, of the Pussycat Dolls, the original burlesque troupe, and then the recording artist. That's a podcast for a different episode or whatever.
An
But
embezzle.
yes, and so yeah, Holly, you said that he wrote this with her in mind, and he like his like crown jewel was like, of course, he had Christina. Christina was really sold on the idea, but he really like had to convince Cher to be in this movie. And then later on in press, she said, of course, they want to say like, I was like thrilled to be in it. I was like down from the moment that I wanted to. Because I was like looking at old clips, and she was like, "Yes, I really wanted to sing in a movie, and I didn't really get the chance, or something happened that she couldn't be in Mamma Mia, the
Yeah.
first one, I guess." And so she like was down for burlesque. But really, whenever I heard the commentary, he was like, he really had to go about, selling her on the idea of this movie and being in it. So there was a couple of things that I didn't love. It's just because Cher is such a huge like in real life. She's a huge personality, we know her as Cher. It's hard to like extract her from that character and put her into Tess
Mhm.
because then I'm just seeing her as Cher, the icon. And so that was like a little bit difficult to do, but also even Christina, it's just like, oh, I'm this humble little like girl from the Midwest, and I don't know anything, and I look at my sandy blonde wig.
Mhm.
And so that was difficult, but also then it was because knowing in real life the age difference between her and Tess, but it's also Tess and Nikki, because they were supposed to be like really good friends, and they've started out that troupe and everything like kind of together. And that's a whole point of, their loyalty to each other. So yeah, but Tess in real life is probably like 40 years older than her. Realistically, they wouldn't have been friends. And how did she start this burlesque troupe? And how did she afford this building that was on Sunset and Vine or Ledger, whatever?
Yeah.
There were so many things, but yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely it's a movie. It's dated in time. I remember it getting good reviews from the viewers and getting tore up by the critics like right away, which I mean we kind of knew was going to happen. It's a campy film. But I remember like some of the more critical ones that were on Christina, which I never pay attention to critics because I think that they're often wrong. I mean, you're looking for a Van Gogh and in a horror film, or you're looking for like a Starry Night, like in a campy, burlesque movie. It's that's not what this is about. It's not for you. You're not invited, type of thing. But so I more pay attention to like what the people are saying, and a lot of people were confused about timelines. They thought that it was like set back in like the 1920s, and it wasn't. Like as obvious, like she's like looking for like a job in the newspaper, like circling the thing, kind of like a la like
Yes.
that was like a 90s thing. So like yeah, like I
That
do
was her,
think
like,
that
very
like
Pretty Woman, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. For me, it reminded me a lot of one of my favorite movies, which is like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead,
Oh,
where
it's a million tears. Oh my gosh.
yeah, where she's like looking for that job and she's like going through like the newspaper and like circling with that big black magic marker that you could like smell through like the camera. It's like, yeah, it kind of gives me that. And that's I think what I appreciated about the film, but I get what people are saying. There are things that don't make sense about like the storylines. I don't know if it's real or not, but shortly after the movie was filmed and released, a script came up on eBay that I purchased, and I
Really?
went through and read it, and it was like a it was like pre-approval for the pitch. So like it had all the cast of characters in there. I want to say it felt very true. It could have just been like fan fiction or something. I don't know. But like when I was reading through it, there was a lot more story in the beginning about like Allie and her
Mm.
grandmother and how her grandma like took ownership, and there was even it's supposed to be a scene of her kind of like at the grave of her grandma. Like her grandma dies like very early on in the movie. And then she's kind of like at the funeral and like, she's like wiping her tears. And somebody that she works with from the bar comes over and kind of says, like, what are you going to do now? she goes, "It's my chance to start over, and like I'm gonna chase my dreams." That was the thing my grandma told me, that her dying wish was that I chased my dreams, and that was like the motivation to propel her to get on that train to LA. For some reason, like they didn't include that in that. It was like taken out.
Yeah,
And instead they put in the Etta James number, the beginning where she's like working at the bar, maybe to make it more musically inclined. I don't know. But I think that was a bad choice.
I agree. No, yeah, totally, because, like, in the commentary, he did mention how they, like, had to test screen it, and in screening it, it was people did want that, like, background story. Because even at one point, I was wondering, it's like, well, we know her mother died. Was she a single mom? They just, like, was 0 mention of the father, so I'm assuming he left her shortly after that one night
Yeah.
fling in
Yeah.
Vegas.
It leaves a lot to the imagination, which when you're
Yeah.
in storytelling isn't a good idea. So
No.
yeah, people want the story, and yeah, we got screwed a little bit. So I agree. There are things in the storyline that just doesn't really make sense. Also, the fact that like her like live-in boyfriend, bartender, eyeliner wearing like love thing also like writes music for some reason.
Yeah.
That like just felt like weird. I don't know. I never
Yeah.
liked that plot point either.
But also, like, I guess even the premise of it is just because, especially because I live in a big city-ish, I think, and
Mhm.
there is nothing
Or Mecca.
to that extent. There's there's nothing to kind of, like, compare it to, because whenever I think of this burlesque, kind of like this troupe, this that does a staple show nightly or whatever, I think of, like, the Crazy Horse in Paris, and I'm sure there's something exists in probably New York, but for the most part, who's gonna go to of course, it's like flailing in its business because who's going nightly? Is there an audience that wants to go this often? I guess it is in LA, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's
I
the
get what you're
market?
saying. Yeah.
It's like, especially just to
What's
hold, like, burlesque shows, like, you would think it would be burlesque maybe on the weekends or whatever, but then also, like, touring artists and anyway, whatever. I'm overthinking it.
No, no, no. I know what you're saying. Yeah. Kind of like who's gonna like be here? Like what cast of characters like could you get that are gonna show up on a regular basis to see a whole burlesque show? Whether if it's like a Coyote Ugly thing where it's kind of like a bar like hangout
Yeah,
thing, it's more like a social thing where you could see return people. But yeah, like how many times can you go and watch the same burlesque show? So like no, I totally get it.
and so, I also thought so and rewatching it, so I have grown to like it, and more recently, and especially as it came on streaming, 'cause I didn't, like, refuse, but I didn't own it until, like, this year, and then I bought it on Blu-ray, and it's nice to see it in, like, 4K, and I'm like, "Wow, they really had, like, great skin." But also
It
the
was
makeup, you can see how, like, sharp it was, and
it's
but
beautifully filmed, that's for
it
sure. The
that's another
set
thing I was
was
gonna say.
beautiful.
The set was amazing. The cinematography was a note, but also, like, how it was shot, like, into mirrors, so you're seeing the reflections of the light, and it's giving you, like, the whole, like, universe behind them.
Mhm.
It's beautiful, but also, today, I was reading comments because, like, The Devil Wears Prada, the trailer came out, and
Yeah.
everybody said that it was like well, a lot of people said that it looked really cheap because it had this, like, Netflix kind of, like, filter where everything is, like, evenly, lit, so
Mhm.
everything's well lit, there's no, like, nuance, the contrast. Whenever I'm watching this, like, Burlesque, I was like, "Wow, it was so moody because there was light everywhere, there was so much color and, um nuance
Yeah.
in those shadows, and, so it was really beautifully shot.
Yeah, I definitely think they were trying to like capture like the feel of being into like a small bar that's like typically not well lit, and kind of has like weird like stage lighting. I definitely noticed that a lot on the promotional photos that they released for it. Like there's this kind of like to me iconic one of like her with like that hat on like at the end of and that shot is all light. Like the way that they like casted that like pinkish purple like over her, it just elevates that a little bit. But I get like what people would be critical of that because it could come off like cheap. It's like I know this sounds crazy, but like I love to decorate for Christmas, and my biggest pet peeve is like when I'm like looking at something that looks super expensive and they put one of those like fake jewels on it or one of those like cheesy lights that like lights it up. It doesn't You made this like whole like really beautiful like decoration dumbed down by adding in those cheap lights. Like just don't do it. And so I think it's kind of like that same thing. You can quickly make a really expensive set look pretty cheap by using those little like tricks and those little like things to grab attention, like the little glitzy glammy things that it just doesn't need. don't bedazzle that, please. Like, don't put those little sticky rhinestones all over this expensive set, you know?
Yeah, and so, like, whoever the I learned because of this whole, like, Devil Wears Prada thing about the gaffer and the lighting, and they work closely with the cinematographer or whatever, and I was, like, so intrigued with it this morning, but, yeah, the lighting in the movie is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes,
I 100% agree. I think filmed beautifully, the girls looked beautiful, costumes looked amazing. I
yes,
think, Christina's acting is like, I think better than I thought it was going to be. I remember leaving thinking, oh my God, she did a better job than I thought she was going to do.
yes,
And I
definitely.
just was like, oh my gosh. The only thing that I'm like a little bit critical of or like kind of cringy of is like when she has that like really emotional scene where she's like kind of like crying a little bit. Like when after she gets like robbed, like
Oh, yes,
she moves to like LA and then like her thing gets like robbed and then she kind of has like this like emotional breakdown where it's like, I don't know where I'm gonna go, that kind of
and then
thing.
she's
And
in the
like,
rain, and then
yeah, that it's a little bit of like her acting skills kind of like cracked a little bit there for me where I was just like, okay, not believable. But other than that, like I do think that she did a really well job carrying that film.
yes, that is
I
true.
was pleased with like what her, in comparison to some of the other girls who are from music and go into acting.
And then I also think, like, what initially, I didn't love the movie, but I've always loved, like I would skip through the storyline, get me to the performances, like, let me see Tough Lover, let me see her, I Am a Good Girl, but, not her acting is yeah, you're right, it's good. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
like, not bad. It's just because even, like well, what I was saying earlier about how, like, Stephen Anton is, a queer person. Some of the music is just, like, super gay, and so it makes it very campy, and so, like, when at one point he used Ray of Light, and I was like it took me out of
Mhm.
the movie. I'm like, "Oh, Madonna." I was like, "Why is she in here?" And it's kind of like kind of the whole Cher and Christina thing, it, like, takes me out of the movie just because it was so big, that song. And then at one point, they go to a the party scene,
Yeah, Carrie
and
Hilson.
the Carrie Hilson one, or even at one point uh-oh, I want some more. What are you waiting for? You know that song?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that Animals? Is that
I
Animals?
think so, yeah, that's where my mind went.
Everything is so disparate. It's like, is it in the late 2000s? Is it in the 90s? When is this? And then I feel like they could have done a little like maybe they should have faked some songs or maybe just got some like deeper cuts because those like took me out. I'm like, okay, that's Carrie Hilson. It's like I love that
Yeah.
song. But also like where are we?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and, like, he kinda does this, like, thing that also, it like, aesthetically, it bothered me a little bit, like, where she's kind of, like, riding on the back of, like, a bike or something with him, and she's got, like, that, like, Marilyn Monroe-esque, like, moment, and, like, the thing, like, flies, which I think is, like, beautiful for a certain time.
Yes.
'Cause it kind of like but again, it's like the timeline thing is very confusing. Ray of Light is very 90s, Carrie Hilson's very 2010. And so yeah, like just to kind of like give credibility to what you're saying, I definitely agree. Like
Yeah,
it's a
and
smodge podge of like like I don't know, conveniently confusing choices that he made that I think just could have been a little bit better.
yeah, it's definitely like editing, down the ideas because it's like and I think this is also the same thing that I think of sometimes with Christina. It's like, "Oh, wow, she has amazing ideas." But maybe, like, this one you could have saved for, like, something else or
Yeah.
whatever.
Edit.
It's distilling it so it's all cohesive. So his,
Yes.
it's like burlesque, "I have this amazing idea." And this one, "Let's put them all together." And then I was like, "Oh, they don't fit well."
Yes, it's just they don't
It's, like,
fit all
jarring.
together. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. There's definitely like some opportunities there, but it's also his like first film and only film. So I don't know. I think being hypercritical of it, yeah, like
Yes.
picky, but like at the end of the day, like I don't know. I really loved the film. I still like. I don't watch it often, maybe like once every 2 years or something, or I'll kind of catch it a little bit, like if I'm working on like a project or something that I want noise in the background. And I enjoy it. Like I don't know, I've got good
It is
feelings
still good.
about it. And I
Yeah.
especially this time of year when it came out, I associate this
With, like,
a lot.
Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's one of those films. And I've seen it like in theaters, like aside from like the pre-screening, I've seen it like I think 10 times in the theaters or something.
Oh my
'Cause I
gosh.
was like standing it like crazy when it came out. So
Oh gosh,
I
it's crazy.
singly saved that movie in the Phoenix metropolitan area.
'Cause I don't think it did well, right? Like or not nearly as well as I thought it would. do.
Yeah, I think people like to say it didn't do well because they
But it
love
did
to
fine.
hate on it, but it made its budget back. It made
Yeah,
its budget back in a little bit. So like it wasn't like people were trying to say like, "Oh, it bombed in the box office." It didn't. It really didn't. And when you put the worldwide numbers in there, it did like I think 30 million over the budget, which
that's
like
great.
for like a
It's not
this
like a
isn't.
Wicked.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
wasn't millions of dollars worth of like CGI that had to go into this film. Like it was a very like cut and dry romantic comedy with music movie. Typically you can make this pretty cheap, and I think the budget for this film was a little bit too high. And I think we have probably Christina and Cher's salaries to blame for that.
Yes.
Also, those sets were like constructed for this film. They didn't
Yes.
reuse anything. Those
What a
sets were
waste.
expensive. Yeah.
Yes.
And I hope they didn't tear them up. Oh my gosh. But then also like they have a good cast of people.
Yes.
Like from
So
Eric
true.
Dane to Stanley Tucci, they had Julianne Hough in there, which was such a smart choice because she
Oh,
was
yeah.
Dancing with the Stars. They had
No.
Kristen Bell. Yeah, I mean getting Cher to sign on to something like that was crazy. Cher famously hates the movie as well, and I don't
Really?
know if yeah, oh yeah, Cher has been like quoted to say that she's never even seen it. I've never even seen it. Huh? Yeah, like she does. She also didn't stay for the premiere, which I have a fun story about that.
Yes.
But yeah, she didn't stay for like the premiere, any of the premieres. They went on like crazy press junkets for this. They had like a premiere in like every major city across the world. It was like Japan. They had a London premiere. They had one in Paris. They had one in LA.
One in Iowa.
Mm, where it was filmed. Our little old Ellie Rose or whatever her name was.
Valley Rose.
But yeah, yeah, so like they did a lot and she apparently didn't stay for any of them. But like I think part of it could have been is like they really didn't I think the studio didn't want Cher songs in it
Really?
because not so much Welcome to Burlesque, but certainly like and Steve Anton had like talked about how like he had to fight to keep You Haven't Seen the Last of Me in the film because the screen gems didn't feel like that song fit into the movie at all. They're like this is just kind of like a random like filler moment. Why would she be practicing this? The song's about overcoming something and has nothing to do with burlesque. It
Burlesque.
doesn't fit
No.
in the show. Like so and which is all true. But Steve was like, this is a moment about her, like, it develops her character as Tess, and, like, it takes her stand for, like, what she's standing up for and, like, what her character is about. And this is how they wanted to do it. Yeah, it's oddly placed if you think about it, but also necessary and also won an Emmy. So thank God they kept it. I think that's what they won the Emmy for, right? Was like that song.
You're right. Actually, this is a good segue to talk about it because do you remember that whole scandal a bit after Burlesque came out that Sia, she had mentioned that she had delivered some songs like to Cher for potentially for her to sing like as the big ballad. And so she was like really excited, very hopeful. And then Sia was like quoted as saying that she chose that Cher chose, and I guess her team also decided to go with a song that was, in her opinion, dated. And then eventually she thought that the Golden Globe was purchased.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I definitely think that the people who are on the academy are definitely favor share in a sense. I think that they do that a lot. They like look at like a name that's been like involved in a lot and then they tend to like vote there if they're not familiar with the things in the category. But I mean it very well could be. I will
Because
say
actually it
Christina
was her
Aguilera.
versus Christina, right?
Huh?
It was her versus Christina because they were both nominated, right?
Yeah, Christina was nominated too. I thought Christina's song was better.
It for sure is.
Just never die on that hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, possibly. Also, like the thing about it is like Diane Warren wrote the song, and she's a legend when it comes to musical ballads in particular. It's especially musical ballads written for screen. Like she's done a lot of soundtracks. She did "I Turn to You" for Christina Aguilera, but actually it was recorded by like a boy band, All
Yes.
for One. Yeah,
Yeah.
and for the soundtrack of Space Jam, which Christina later like swooped up, and a lot of people don't know that. You know what I mean? Like so, like in a roundabout way, yeah, it was giving an award to Cher, it was giving an award to Burlesque, but it was also giving an award to Diane Warren, and I think she's got a lot of friends on that academy.
Oh,
So
for sure.
it was it purchased. But I have another fun segue to that, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so a lot of people don't know this, but do you know about the murder that surrounds Burlesque?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay, I've got to tell this. Okay, so there is a legendary publicist in LA called Ronnie Chasen. Ronnie Chasen, Ronnie, I believe. Ronnie Chasen. She worked on like several films, over 125 in her career. She helped secure an Oscar for The Hurt Locker, which was like, a really big win that she had done. Anyways, so on the night of November 16th, which was the LA premiere of Burlesque, I remember a couple things about this, but one thing that stuck out specifically to me was that I was watching the late night show with Jimmy Fallon and Kathy Griffin was on there. And right before that, she went to the premiere and she went to the premiere to see Cher basically. She took the photos and did the press junket, and then she ran over and did that thing, and she was talking about how there was like this big like scandal and like buzz going around. And so I kind of like she kind of alluded to something like some type of a police presence. Well, the publicist for Burlesque, and specifically for the awards season, Ronnie's job on the Burlesque side was to really shop it around to the award season, which happens in January. And this was what, November. So basically, she would lobby to get votes for it. She would be in charge of like sending those like for your consideration like CDs out and stuff like that. So she was working on Burlesque for the Oscars and the Academy Awards and all those other like award shows, just kind of like getting the buzz out there, sending press packets out. Upon leaving the night of the premiere, she was gunned down and murdered in her car, literally
Whoa.
before she even got home. The photos of like the crime scene, which have leaked online, unfortunately, she's wearing the same thing that you could see her like in the back of the photos with like Christina and Cher. And so that was kind of part of like one of the big reasons why Burlesque didn't get the big push in the award season, because literally the person that was ahead of promoting that for them was murdered. Like those things are like strategically planned out. There's like certain marketing things that they do. They send out certain press things at certain times of the year to like garner attention for that. That whole strategy went down when she died. And so like yeah, it's just crazy. She was like shot while driving home, and like they um like apparently somebody had like seen it happen and like called 911, and when the police got there she was like dying from a gunshot wound in her chest, and like she was like keeled over and like the horn was going and everything, murdered after leaving the event,
Does
which
anybody have a
completely.
record of where Lady Gaga was that night?
That was my next thing I was about to
Nuh-uh.
say. No, just kidding. No, yeah, I know, right? Especially because like Cher canceled like a, or maybe
I'm gonna
it was
insert a picture of Lady Gaga in the telephone with the gun.
yeah, oh yeah, her and Beyonce. No, just kidding. Well, and actually, like right after that, like, didn't like Lady Gaga cancel a collaboration with Cher?
Oh,
Like,
I
do
don't
you
remember
remember
that.
that? Oh, yeah, look that up. So Cher and Lady Gaga actually recorded a song together, and Cher was gonna put it on her "Dress to Kill" album, like "I'm Dressed to Kill," and Lady Gaga was like, "No, don't release that." Like, would not allow her to put that on the album, and Cher talked about it too. I know. So I was like, almost wondering, like, it was like kind of at the height of that whole like Christina versus Lady Gaga, and I almost wonder if it was like there was a little bit of tension there because she had did the movie with Christina. I always wondered that, but I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That is
it was.
crazy.
Yeah, I know. And if you think that album like came out like 2000, maybe 11 or 12, I don't remember, but I do know it was after Burlesque.
How
Yeah,
awful.
I know.
And I
But yeah,
wonder
look that up. Ronnie Chasen. Look up that. It's insane to read about it. And the
I wonder if it
crazy
was, like, random act of violence.
I think that they said that, but like they ended up approaching the suspect, like whoever did it. They said it was like almost like a hit because like even the bullets were like hollow point. So like what that means is like when it enters like a body or a target, like it breaks into like it like shatters. Yes. So like think about like instead of just like damage from like a hole, it like hits a target and then explodes. So like it's like shredding. So they're like that's a really uncommon like, and they found the guy that did it, or like they covered this like in a TV show. It was like Hollywood Murders or something, and they covered this case, and I watched it because I was like curious about it. And yeah, the guy like he ended up getting into like a standoff with the police and then committed suicide. Like,
Oh my gosh. What
yeah.
a scandal
It
just
was
from
like, I'm telling
Burlesque.
you, that was like, and that like really hurt promotion a lot. Like it hurt. She was a big part of that. That was the head of like what the movie was. And on the night of the LA premiere, she was murdered, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I know. So, yeah, that's kind of a little thing. And so, like, when you like were talking about like the award season thing, I was like, it's so funny because like that's literally what she was in charge of.
So no wonder why I didn't do better with anything. Because they did go to the
Yeah,
Golden Globes together, and remember she wore that, like, nudist dress with that, like, little bob, Christina.
yeah. That was actually like a year before though. That
Oh,
was
that
in
was her
2000.
announcing it, right?
Yeah, and that was like in 2009. Yeah. So that was like I think they were filming at that time.
And going back to music, I didn't know until obviously the commentary is that, Linda Perry worked on the soundtrack, and so she reshaped, Guy What Takes His Time, which was originally recorded by Mae West, and she kind of gave it, like, a little bit of a contemporary feel, and yeah,
Mhm.
so she worked on that song.
Yeah, again, like, it's just kind of shows like when people like criticize Christina for like not being part of like music or like compare it to like the Beyonce scandals that go out there, I always have to shed a little bit of doubt on that. It seems like no matter what Christina does, she always inserts herself and makes sure that she has a little bit of freedom to make decisions like that. The fact of the matter is the Burlesque soundtrack was put out by a movie making company. Christina didn't have creative control over that type of stuff, but she still made it sure that she worked that into her contract so she could work with these people like Sia, who she had worked on her previous album with, like Linda Perry, who she had worked with before. Tricky Stewart. Again, like these are all the people that she was like working with at the time. She had to have freedom with creativity, a little bit of that. And again, another reason why I love Christina so much. She always makes sure that there's a shred of her artistic expression in there in some way. And I think it takes balls to do that. Like, because if it fails, it doesn't do well, that's on you.
She's
And I
held
will tell you,
accountable,
you can
yeah.
say what you want about the performance of the movie. That soundtrack was like hot. Like that soundtrack sold so well. And people may not have like loved the movie, but like the soundtrack did really, really well. And I remember even like just people like talking about it, like because people in my life, my personal life, know I love Christina Aguilera. They'd be like, oh my gosh, my grandma keeps asking for that soundtrack for Christmas and that year. And I just remember like a lot of people, I love that soundtrack. Oh, I download it. Like I listen to it all the time. When I drive to work, I listen to it. And like it was just people who aren't normally like Christina fans like would come up and talk about it. I love that song that she did in the green dress. That at least part of it, I think,
Yes.
was received really well.
Yeah, and she did a lot of great promotion for it. I remember she sang and so many different songs because she did, "Show Me How You Burlesque," she did "Express" several times, she did, um, "Something's Got a Hold on Me" on, like, late night talk shows, so yeah, so she gave us pieces throughout the
Yeah.
movie, and still, I feel like it could have done better. Like, it should
Yeah.
have done better. It's not a
Yeah.
bad
I feel like
movie.
it should have. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely should have done better. And like, yeah, I think you're right. She was a little like shall we say that she was going through like a messy time? Like I think some of the promotion performances she was a little bit like disheveled. One of my favorite performances is the one she did of Show Me How You Burlesque on Dancing with the Stars when she did this whole like
Can
is
we start with her hair?
yeah, the hair was like a freaking mess, but the performance was
Yes.
so good. Like she
So
got
good.
on the
It was so
table
good.
and she like threw herself off of it, that like
Yes. And she's of course, she's, like, singing and she's dancing, and this is she's gained a little bit of weight at this point, but she's still doing everything. I think it started here, but also it goes into Lotus. I want who really should have been, a victim of a hit is I think his name was Mario Badalesco?
Mhm.
Is that who did her hair at that time? But he also
Yeah.
eventually came up with a line of hair care and stuff. She consistently looked disheveled and her hair looked awful, here, but also I remember it was, I think X Factor or whenever she did the AMAs, makeup looks great. She always had a great well, who was it?
I think it's
Kevin
Christopher
Buckle?
Buckle. Christopher Buckle.
Christopher Buckle, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that hair just, like, threw it all off. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, the hair was like a mess. And I don't know like what that was. Like Christine, it's so weird to see Christina like that because Christina is like such a perfectionist. Like if you look at the back to basics era, it is very hard to find a moment of that era that she was messy or was not put together or was not giving us Baby Jane. Like she just like lived and breathed that era. It infected like her personal life. Like they would catch candid photos of her going out to grab coffee with like her yoga instructor, and she was, 1950s glam. Like it was just like she lived and
Yes.
breathed that to a T. So to like see her like in a state where like not everything is 100% on, it's noticeable. When somebody is we're used to that person performing at like that level. When something slips, it's noticeable. And I can't help but think it was like the dissolving of her and Jordan. Obviously she had
Yeah.
her first
I'm sure it was a
setback in her career. Bionic didn't perform like it was supposed to. She had to cancel that tour. The
but
press
also, like,
wasn't
the media at
really
that
nice to her.
point, yeah,
Yeah,
they were very against her. I'm sure
yeah, yeah.
difficult
She
besides
became
divorce and everything.
Yeah, and I don't think she's ever really won them back. I don't know that she ever
I
really
agree.
did. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, it's crazy because she really is one of the most talented singers, even in today's standard. That I just she doesn't get that like recognition that she really should, and that was kind of the beginning of that, right? That was that beginning of that downtime fall, and I think I don't know, maybe that was just her way of like people always like criticize Britney Spears for shaving her head off, but in a weird way, like I understand it. We associate being beautiful and being like this like cookie cutter image and this perfection thing with hair a lot. Like we associate that like your hair has to be perfect. So I think like in a way that was like Britney's way of like rebelling. And if you think about her like being like under the thumb and being forced to do these albums during that time and these tours, if I shave my head off and I look ugly, then they're not going to force me to do this because I look a mess. And so maybe that was like Christina's way of doing that too, in a less extreme way. But maybe she was just kind of like, if I'm not like put together, if I just show up and I'm wearing those like god awful like black leggings that she wore for like a decade, like maybe like they just won't put those pressures on me that I'm used to being held to, and maybe that was like her way of like redefining it. But I don't know. I don't know, but it was weird. It was weird. It's unlike Christina. Very unlike Christina.
Okay, so whenever we were talking earlier about her dialogue not being the best, and it's not like her delivery, it's also, I think, just how it was written. At one point, I think she says she's looking for a compliment from Jack. And then he's like, stumbling over his words. And then she's like, geez, we're friends, Jack. We're not like siblings. And then she just walks away. It's like, obviously
Yeah.
she's beautiful. Just say it. And like, it's awkward because he's like not cheating, but cheating emotionally on his
Yeah.
fiance. And the whole thing is weird. Like, in what world would Natalie ever let Allie Rose live in her apartment with her fiance? Knowing that Allie Rose is that beautiful. I was gonna say after the wedding, whenever they come back home, they're like a little bit drunk and they're about to, get down to business. I also thought it was annoying just because she like screams. They're like laughing whenever she like screams like 8 times, not really, but like five. But it's just like, so like annoying,
Yeah. When they're kind of like tussling on like that little couch and she's like giggle
stumbling.
screaming kind of like stop, like don't do that.
Yes.
Like yeah, it's a little bit weird. I feel like they had like weird
Yeah.
chemistry, but I don't know if it's like I didn't feel weird chemistry. Like they were partners on the press junket. Like her and Cam Gigante
Mhm.
did all of their interviews and stuff. They promoted the movie together. If Christina was on the show, Cam was there. And then likewise, it was Stanley Tucci and Cher did like rounds together too. So like in those moments, I thought they were so like I almost if I didn't know that she was already involved with Matt, I would have thought like she was gonna go for him because like I believe that chemistry off screen. But yeah, on screen, sometimes there were like kind of awkward moments. And I don't know if it's just like the chemistry between them was just kind of a little bit weird or a little unfamiliar, or if it was just that like the writing wasn't like there. I don't know. But
Definitely
yeah,
the writing.
I definitely agree. And I thought that like it was unnecessary to like write in a girlfriend for Cam Gigante's character, for Jack's character. It just was so unnecessary. Literally added nothing to the story. You know what I mean? He might as well have just been single. And she was just kind of like, and I don't understand why they did that. But yeah, it was like a whole like thing. And it continued the movie on like another 30 minutes that I think could have also been edited out a little bit.
Oh my gosh, we're so in sync because that's our next place I was gonna go is like, it's also too long.
Yeah, it is.
The story just kinda goes and goes, and I'm like, "Get to the point, let's get to the performances where it's, like, the, like, stellar part of it. But one of the best things to come out of burlesque is learning about air rights.
Yes, air
Yes.
rights. They're in the air. Yeah, like I stand an air right. I've got some in my 401k stored away. Like I am, there's going to be the day, I'm saving it for a rainy day, but I am going to sell my air rights at some point. And I would, I'm just kidding. And I'm going to retire it. And it's going to be fabulous. Yeah,
Oh,
air
Lord.
rights, right? Like air rights saved that movie. It's
It
so,
did, and
so
it was,
stupid and funny.
it it would've worked. Like, definitely they coulda cut out, how you said, the girlfriend. Maybe they could've made like, air rights was a good thing. Maybe they could have made it a little bit more, not sinister, but maybe more involved, like, the solution for saving the club. Also, like, the whole thing where Nikki is, like, trying to upset Tess, like, "I slept with Vince, the night of your honeymoon. Did you
Yeah,
hear
that's
that?"
so awkward.
Yeah, it was just awkward. And then it was also a lie, right? Because like, she didn't sleep with Vince.
No.
She just didn't hurt her.
Yeah, yeah, she just wanna say it to her, but yeah, again, because of the weird, like, age gap, that joke doesn't land,
It
like,
doesn't.
who would brag about, like, sleeping with somebody, like, 3 times your senior? Like, I don't know, that's not a flex, girl. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit strange. I also thought, like, Julianne Hough's character, like, being pregnant and, like, having to leave the show was a weird way to do that. Like, I get, like, at some point like a spot has to open for Allie, but like how come the spot couldn't have just opened because they were going to revamp the show because it was failing?
Yes, or Julianne got gunned down one night after a premiere.
Jesus Christ. You are so sinister. Yeah, like I don't know, I just like there's just like complicated storylines woven into it that just didn't could have been simplified, and they just weren't really. They didn't add like it didn't add any depth to her character that she was like pregnant and like throwing up in a bathroom. It just was like kind of like weird. I don't know. Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
weird.
it ended up adding other scenes that didn't need to happen. There's already a lot going on. The
Yeah,
wedding scene, that really didn't add anything. It just brought in another character, that random man that Stanley Tucci's character slept with,
yeah,
and Coco thing, and
yeah.
it's just, like,
It
overcooked.
was.
Everything's overdone.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot of like hodgepodge stuff going on, like kind of all at once, and so I agree to a certain extent.
I guess at this
Yeah.
point, did you want I heard you had you made me feel bad.
Yeah, kind of like show and tell, just because I think that this was like really interesting too. Burlesque was like a major like opportunity for them to promote, and did they promote? So I always, being me, the Aguilera archive, I wanted to share like a couple of the like fun things from that era and kind of share a little bit of stories with them. So my first and probably favorite is For All the Glam. You know that movie we talked about, the glam, like how it was so on point. Well, they partnered with OPI and Smashbox for that film. And as a result, they had like an amazing line that I just don't think people ever really got into. So I was super excited to share this. So this is the actual standee of the OPI original thing. So this would like sit on the countertop at like your local like Macy's or like Dillard's or probably like Neiman Marcus, and it's got like all like the colors of like the nail polish on here, like, and they all had like really fun names like Allie's Big Braid, Tessie Does It, Tease, The Show Must Go On, Rising Star. So like they all have like these like names that were filmed after like what was going on. But I just love this so much. It's like a stage and it holds the OPI bottles. And kind of like in that same like avenue, they also did these like really fun burlesque mini ones. And they had like two. This one's the red shimmer, so they're all like the family of reds. But I just thought like the packaging on this is like so freaking cute. And that's the red ones. The other thing that was really cool was Smashbox was the other one, and they came up with these really cool gift sets. You know, Smashbox is not cheap, so these were kind of expensive.
Oh my god.
But like this burlesque, and like look at it, it comes off like the
Oh,
fishnets
that's cute.
come off, and then it's just like the stage. And so this is the kit here, so you can kind of see what happened. And these were the actual makeups that they used, like that eyeliner. I had like a lot of people ask me for that.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, but like even like I have one of them. I bought one of them, but I didn't buy them all because they were expensive, and I was like, they're gonna discount after Halloween. But like that year, Spirit Halloween put out like a line of Christina Aguilera burlesque costumes. They have the pink one, expensive pink one that's like bedazzled from I Am a Good Girl. And then they had like a cheaper version of it that didn't have like the feathers. It was just kind of ruffles. But then they did a cheap one. And then they have like the hands one with like the hands like the
Yes,
black dress
like
with like the
dress.
hands. So like they did a couple of them, and some of the influencers like very early on in the influencer day, this was 2010, 11 ish, like swore by this, and so this is still intact. I have all the pieces on there. I've never opened it, but I just thought that was like a really cute thing. And so when you, of course, we love a gift with purchase. So this is the gift with purchase, which a lot
What?
of people don't have.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a big like Smash box, and if you look in the window here, you can see it says burlesque.
Yeah,
So
that is a
yeah, this
big,
is
like, gift with
yeah,
purchase.
this is huge, and it is got like room in here. In fact, I have tons of stuff in here. Some of which, oh, like, here's the other one. So the other one was like the red shimmers. This is the other one. I have a couple of these like packets, but here's the other one. This is little teasers. So like just like another like packet. So like I like would collect these. I'd go to like Ulta and like Sephora and like I would like go find them. But yeah, like I just it's like a really like cute thing, and I don't think a lot of people even realize that this was even made or that this was an option, but they did a huge promotion for the movie. The other like cool thing that I thought would be cool to kind of show some people, let me just clean up my work area here, is
Yes.
some of the different like versions of this movie. And first and foremost is the messy one. That's probably most iconic. And Christian, since you didn't purchase this movie or even cared about it, you missed out on this baby, and you missed out on a gold mine. So the day that the movie was released, she had an exclusive with Best Buy. So you know I was there the minute the Best Buy came in, and I was in dismay when I got over to the burlesque where the burlesque movie was, and the only one there was the standard packaging. All of the Best Buy exclusives were gone. And
Really?
I was like, where is this? Like, there's no way that this sold out. Like, the store has only been open for an hour. And although I do love the movie and I hope it does well, I know it didn't sell like this. And the guy, I pitched a bitch about it. He's like, no, come back. Maybe we just don't have it in stock yet. I drove around to like 3 or 4 Best Buys, experienced the exact same thing. And so I came back the next day and I was like, I need to speak to like a manager. Like I had a Karen moment and I was like, I need to know where this is at. Like I
Oh my
want
god.
this. It is an exclusive to Best Buy. Like I need it. And he came out and he was like, so there was a press release. This was pulled from the shelves because it's inappropriate. So here's what it is. So this is the Best Buy exclusive packaging. You can see it's like super thick. And what this is the movie standard edition. But what it includes is this little like, I don't know if you can see it there, but like it includes a corset, and it's a standard black corset, which and like the string that like you lace it up like has the pink writing that says burlesque on it. Because this movie is PG-13 and anyone can pretty much purchase it, it was deemed inappropriate and pulled from the shelves right away because of the corset, because they didn't
Oh,
want 13-year-old girls going in and purchasing this and then wearing this corset. So it was literally pulled from the shelves. So the good thing is that like as those things happen, because it's still a good product, most likely what probably happened with these is that they were kind of like all bundled up and sold as like a lot to like a discount store, and then they eventually made their way onto eBay. So you could probably find these online pretty cheap, but at the time this was like a really big steal for me. I was like, thank God I got a hold of it, because the guy was like basically like, we have them, they're in the store, I just can't sell them to you. And I was like, why? They've been recalled. And I was like, so again, something I think could have like hurt the performance. Although if you look at the numbers, I don't know 100% sure on the numbers, but I do know that the oddly enough, the Blu-ray was like in the top 30 for best-selling Blu-rays the year it came out. So speaking of different versions, I have a couple here. I have more than what I have here. I just couldn't find them all. So I've got like the standard like US covers, which for DVD and Blu-ray, which is the one that we're most likely to see. This one has a slipcover on it. Then I have the Spanish version, and this I think I hate the most. I don't know why somebody in Latin America decided to call the movie Noches de Encanto, but it doesn't translate, it doesn't make sense, and it's not exciting. But here, Noches de Encanto, and you can see it's more of the traditional.
weird.
Yeah, so that's like the Spanish versions. And then the other one is just like the UK and some of the European releases, which are just the burlesque with I think these were from Ireland, but again, showcasing the traditional, like, I think
DVD.
theatrical
Yeah.
poster. Rather, it's we got like the more designed, I think, a little bit more interesting cover here. And then I just have like two other things I wanted to show you. So I
Yeah.
don't know why this is a thing. Do you know what lobby cards are? Because I don't. But lobby cards are apparently a way of promoting a movie like back in the day. In the US, we've kind of shied away from it because there's so much media out there. But in France, promoting the movie, they released a set of lobby cards and I got them. So these are like from, oh, there's something else in here too. Oh, there's like a little Japanese thing. But yeah, they have these like lobby cards, which are like almost like lithographs. I almost feel like I should like frame some of these, but like
You
they have
should.
like really like pretty like photos of them.
Yeah.
And I ordered them from a film studio cinema that was in Paris. And the guy also sent me like the marquee thing, like the backlit thing that says Burlesque on it. So like I also have one of those. I just couldn't find it. But along with like the lobby cards, he sent that. And then the very last thing I wanted to show you was this, because I thought this was really cool. And another thing that, like, maybe if your listeners don't have it, they could get it if they appreciate Christina in the film. They released the official book for this. This is the US version again.
I didn't even know there was a book.
Yeah, I went and purchased it. Oh, I have a lot of stuff in here, like all these flyers and stuff. But I went out and I purchased this at Barnes and Noble, which is basically the making of the movie. And it's actually really cool. If you appreciate the movie, it's got a lot of really cool things in here from like the film itself, but like a lot of like the sketches and kind of like the makeup
Cool.
renderings for
Yeah.
like Christina here. And I just think it's so beautiful to like see this. And if you appreciate the movie and you love it as much as I do, you would love this. Also, what I did is like, remember I was telling you about those screenings? There's one of my screening tickets that you can see. I went and seen Burlesque on November 12th. So like a week before it came out. So I put those in there, but I also, this is like, I was young, but I also, these are all my tickets for all the times I went and seen it. They're all like faded now, but like, yeah, it was kind of like a good memory book. And then in the same light, this is the exact same book, but this is just the European version release of it. And again, it just has
Yeah.
like the standard like cover, but it's the exact same book. So I just got it because it's got like two covers. But it's really interesting and it's in depth. There's a forward by Christina Aguilera, and Cher has like an insert in the book as well. So it's just kind of like something fun. If you really love and enjoy the movie as much as I do, you can probably find it online for like $5 or something. And it's just a really cute like keepsake of like a Christina thing. So just a couple of fun little things I just wanted to share with your listeners that I thought they'd appreciate.
Yeah, those are
Oh,
so
also, like,
cool.
I
Yeah.
have like a shirt collection that was released in the UK, from Miss, I think her name is like Miss Selfridge or something, I think is like the name of the company.
Oh,
But
yeah, like the Selfridges, like the big department store.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes. So they put out like these like shirts that are super beautiful, and they took the renderings of like the drawings for like the film and like screen printed them on all these t-shirts. So it's
Mm.
like Christina Aguilera, like in that, like kind of like in that photo I just showed you guys. They have like, I have one that's like red, and it's her doing Show Me How You Burlesque, and she's kind of in that like gold like dress, and like her hair is like being thrown in one direction, and it's very like visual, and she's kind of like doing like a pose that's like she's that bitch. Yeah, it just looks really good. So that's another thing that I was hoping to find. I just didn't have time to like actually find it. I could not find it to save my life, and I went through boxes and boxes of stuff. But that's another thing. Like if you can find like photos of like the Miss Selfridge burlesque collection, it's worth a great look. They did some really really beautiful things for that, and it was a really nice collection. So that's my piece.
How cool. I didn't even know any of that. Like, so they did go out of their way, like, they really did promote
Yeah,
this movie.
yeah,
It just kind of,
yeah.
like,
They
fell
did.
apart, probably
Yeah,
because
it
of
just
Ronnie.
like it could have been Ronnie, yeah. No, they also like there was like I was like so obsessed with Christina and like looking at her numbers at the time that like I paid for a subscription to a Hits Daily Double, and I was looking at like how it was performing in the thing. The there it performed fairly well. It was like in the one, two, three spots for like 3 weeks. It eventually fell back, but it's because they took the film out of like 1,000 theaters in one weekend. So of
Oh,
course it's
wow.
going to drop because if you
Yeah.
remove its availability, but it was doing really well, and I do think it did well. It did a lot better than what people will give it credit for. That's
Yes,
I think
definitely.
the legacy on that, and that's just kind of a common theme of Christina's whole career, really. So
But it
more of
is
the
nice
same.
because, like, after the fact, it is given its, like, flowers just because, like I know people, like it comes and goes off of Netflix or streaming, and people, like, love to see it.
Yeah, it's always like
Even my
that
friend
couple weeks a couple months ago, like, they put it back on Netflix, and it was, like, number 1 for,
yeah,
like, a week, and I was like,
yeah, and
people love
even,
to
like,
watch it.
my friend, she was like, "Oh, I love Burlesque," and, I at that point, I didn't like it, or I was okay with it, and I thought it was weird because she loves Burlesque, and whereas I love Christina, she's kinda like, "Oh, yeah, Christina's nice," but she
Yeah,
loves
but I
the
love
movie.
burlesque. Yeah,
Yes, so it's nice because people do love, like, a good feel-good movie, and that is
yeah.
definitely that movie.
I get that a lot too, like, when I tell people, "Oh, like, I love Christina Aguilera," like, they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, I love that movie Burlesque that she did." Like, that's always what I
Mhm,
get, and I'm like,
I love it.
"Okay." You know what I mean? Yeah, people love it, and I think the legacy of it lives on, I think, they've put it out on, they've turned it into, like, a Broadway thing when right now it's going
Yeah,
through the UK circuit, and hopefully it will come to the US, but I heard that, like, they got Todrick Hall on there, which was kind of like a thing for
Scandal.
me. But I hear it's being like well received. It seems to sell out each time they put that out there. Like if the legacy of burlesque like continues going on, if there's something to say about it, it's the fact that like people are still interested in it. They still want it, and people still will pay to go see it. Good for Stephen Anton.
Yes, we'll definitely have to see it whenever it comes to Broadway.
Yeah, it's a date.
Yay! Well, thank you for being on this episode and for showing us all of your goodies.
Yeah, absolutely, Christian. Always a pleasure.
Yes, and then go stream Burlesque because it's the 15th anniversary.
Yes, do it. Do it.
Also, can you say Wagon Wheel Watusi?
Yes. Wagon wheel Watusi. That's
Love it.
yours. Do your favorite one.
Wait, what am I saying? Am I saying Wagon I was originally gonna say
Right. Do
Nikki's, and
your
we'll
wagon
do
wheel Watusi right now.
Wagon Wheel Watusi.
That's really good, actually.
Um,
Stupid.
also, I thought it was dumb whenever she's like, "I will not be upstaged by a slut with mutant lungs." I was like, "That's also a dumb, like" it's super camp. Anyway,
Yeah,
yes,
super cat.
embrace the camp.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Until
I'll
next
talk
time.
to you later, Christian.
Thanks.